Earlier this month, I opened up a Emperors in the New World case, or an OP-09 case. Now, before you continue with this video, if you haven't already watched the opening, I highly recommend you start that first before you watch this. I will leave a card on the top right corner now that will take you to the playlist for this OP-9 case opening. It is a 4-part series, and we open 3 boxes per part. So like I say, I would highly recommend watching that first before you continue with this, because in this video we are going to go through major spoilers. This is an overview and a review going over the OP-09 case that we opened. Basically, we're going to go over every single hit that we got. We're going to go on tcgplayer.com, go to the last sold pricing, look at the lowest or the cheapest it sold for, and then the highest it sold for. We'll have a range put on screen that kind of shows this is what it can potentially maximum sell for and potential lowest it will sell for. And then at the very end, we'll sort of add it all up together and we'll see how we did from a value perspective on the case. And then also just go over my opinions on how I felt about OP-09 and overall how much fun we had. Which, spoilers, I had a lot of fun, and I hope you did too. I think this case was a little bit better than OP-10, to be honest. Now, we're not going to include the rares like we did in the last overview. The only 2 notable ones were Gum Gum Giant and Trafalgar Law, which were about $1.30 and 65 cents. So, actually, ironically, they are going to be a bit more expensive than some of the SRs, as you're going to come to find. But we are going to do this in the same order that we did in the last overview, which was SRs, Secret Rares, all the alternate arts, the Treasure Rare, that's new, because we didn't get that last time, the alternate art leaders, and of course, the 2 SPs at the end. Okay, so we're going to begin with the Super Rares first, and the first up is Adio. Obviously a pretty cool looking card, but anywhere from 10 to 50 cents in terms of last sold pricing. I think I put it at 26 cents. I think that was around where I had it in the videos. We got 9 of them in total, so that's anywhere from about probably like $2 to $4 for all of those. Again, they don't sell for too much, so that's realistically what you'd probably get for it. It's a cool card, but I know that deck isn't played as much anymore, and there's always, with the Super Rares, a lot of them. We have Frankie next, which I think is quite underrated. I think this artwork is beautiful. I saw one sell as low as 14 cents, all the way up to $1, right? It's more in between. I would put it at, like, I think I put it at 35 cents in the videos. I'd say it's anywhere from like 50 cents to $1. It's obviously a very cool collection piece. I feel like collectors will enjoy this. We ended up getting 8 of them, so it's anywhere from about $2 to $8, I would say. At the lower end, about $1.12. But again, I don't think you're going to be selling all these for 14 cents. I think 35 cents is about what you'd be looking to get for them. So, bit disappointing that Frankie's that low, to be honest, but that's okay. Lim is up next. Now, Lim was very useful when this set first came out. This was sort of a newer deck, the green Lim that people were running. It's anywhere from 15 to 55 cents now, so it has definitely dropped since then. I didn't mention it, but I'm doing all these prices based on April 24th. That's when I'm doing this video, so it's around that time. Anywhere from about $4 to probably $2 max is what you'd probably get for all of those limbs. We'll move on to Koala now. This is a very cute card. I do enjoy this one, and I think surprisingly we'll get to it when we get to the alternate art, but the alternate art of the version of this card went up 200%, so I have a feeling this card may be playable now. It's anywhere from 20 cents to $1. It's always, anytime there's like a cute card like this, it's always going to be in that range. So anywhere from $1.60 to $8. I'd say it's probably more in between at that 40-50 cent price range. I think that's pretty fair to say. Next up, we've got Crocodile, which this was one of my favorite artworks out of all the SRs. So anywhere from 15 cents, that's the lowest I saw, all the way up to 99 cents or $1, basically. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of those, which is quite decent. So that's obviously about $9, anywhere from $2 to $9, give or take there. It's going to be quite cool in a binder page. Like I say, the plan is to get that with its alternate art, and then the next one coming up, of course, Mihawk with Buggy, and have the Cross Guild all together on one page. I think that looks quite cool. So, but otherwise, they're not extremely playable. And again, there's just a lot of them. So this Mihawk is about 14 to 75 cents. And in total, we had about 8 there, I believe. So yeah, 14 to 75 cents, 8, that's about $6. So anywhere from $2 to $6, I would say, on that as well. I think I had them right at 50 cents, both of those cards actually, which I see that's the most sold price I see them go for. And then next up we'll have Blackbeard or Marshall D. Teach. Now, this is a very cool artwork. I actually really enjoyed this one. I think it's slightly underrated. Although he's not like a favorite character, he is, of course, got a cool artwork here. Anywhere from 49 cents to $2 in total. $2 is a bit more on the higher end. I think if you sold it on eBay, you'd probably be selling it for around that. But anywhere from probably $5 to $18 max there is what you'd get for all of them. It's a cool artwork, though. Like, again, I think collectors will like that. But I know there is a Blackbeard deck that comes from this set, so I imagine you need to run that in there. Sanji, this card is very useful. It's a very good purple card with on-play. You got some Dom manipulation, but it does have Rush, and it's a decent card in general. So this is going to be relatively, probably more on the higher end expensive. I think I had it at like $1.34 in the video, but you could probably get $20 max by selling all these. But I think realistically, you're looking at $15 there for all of that. It's about like $1.50 max, I would say, generally. Consistent sells, I would say. $1.75 to $2.75 for Shanks. A very playable card. Shanks decks are extremely popular right now, so this SR will probably always sell. And there's a lot of Redhead Pirate collectors, Shanks collectors, so it does well with the collecting community as well. Anywhere from 15 to 25 bucks is a safe bet if you were to sell all of these. Of course, we're not going to be selling all of them. We're going to be keeping at least one for each of us for collection purposes. And then last but not least, we have Ben Beckman, which was the most expensive SR out of all of them in the set. So about anywhere from $2 to $4.13. That was the highest I've seen it sold for. It used to be about $8 on release, so it's definitely gone down a bit. But it is a vital card in the Red Shanks deck, and it's extremely useful. So anywhere from $16 to $33, but I'd say you're more in that $25 to $30 range, probably, if you were to sell all of those. So we'll move on to the secret rares now. There was only two of them, of course. We had the Goldie Roger, anywhere from $6 to $8, I would say, and we obviously got four of them. So you're looking at $24 to $32 if you were to sell all of them. Like I say, I usually keep a copy. Ty will have a copy. Ty Day will end up getting one. Matt will end up, so we end up splitting a lot of these. I prefer to give these out to friends, of course, that it was, the card's going to go to a good home and stuff like that. And especially if you want to play it, if you want to play the game, generally you're going to need anywhere from 2 to 4 copies of all of these type of cards. So these are the type of duplicates that you're guaranteed, but they're not too terrible. This Monkey D. Luffy was the second secret rare, the more expensive out of the two. We, of course, got 4 of them. It's anywhere from basically $10 to $13, so about $38 to $52 max if you sold all 4 of them. So I did enjoy the secret rares. I actually don't mind the Luffy or the Roger. I think they both look really good. And then let's move on now to the alternate arts. We had a lot of them. I was actually really happy with how we performed with the alternate art pulls in this set in particular. We start with Adio. It's anywhere from $3 to $5 max, I would say, but probably that 3 to 4. Obviously, he's not really too well known. He's from the video game, so he doesn't really do too well in sales. This is the card I was talking about that went up in price. It was, I think we had it at $6 in the videos. It's gone all the way up to $20. So I don't know if it's just because it's the artwork or if it's playable now, but it's definitely gone up in price. The Nami, of course, anywhere from $6 to $12. A beautiful card. Namis are always going to sell, so this is always a pretty decent card to pull. Uta, this was surprisingly, relatively expensive. I think it's a relatively useful card in the Redhead Pirates. It's like a Redhead Pirates searcher, so it's always going to be quite decent. Anywhere from like $9 to $14 there. Frankie, unfortunately, really cheap, to be honest. Anywhere from $5 to $8. I think this is a beautiful card. I will be putting this one in the collection. Frankie is always in need of more artwork, so really happy we managed to get one of those. And then we'll go into the alternate art Mihawk, which I was happy that we got that. Anywhere from $5 to $12 or $11, give or take. We'll go ahead and put these three all together, because this is what the page will eventually look like. Then the Crocodile alternate art, $5 to $11. Really cool artwork. He's obviously got something going on with his eye there. But super detailed. I really enjoy it. I think Boogie was my favorite out of the three there, which you wouldn't normally say, but I think artwork perspective, it's very cool. And more consistent pricing. It's like $11 to $13. You don't normally see anything below that. So those three will look really nice in a binder. So really excited to put those all together with the SRs and everything else. We had the Sonji alternate art as well, so anywhere from $15 to $19 max, I would say, in that sort of range. It's obviously a very cool card to look at. It's also very useful too. I talked about how good the SR is. And it's going to look nice with the SP in the background as well in the binder, so looking forward to putting that in the collection, adding it to the collection. Nico Robin, what more is there to say about the artwork? It's beautiful. I even thought I might have to censor it when I open this. It's just, it's very revealing, and that's why it's going to have very consistent sales in that $21 to $30 range. This is always going to be an expensive card, I think, regardless of how useful it is. But it is also very useful as a card, so that's always going to be a highly sought-after card. Next, we, of course, have Trafalgar Law. So Law always does well. It's anywhere from $17 to $20. I think this is one that's going to fluctuate, probably get even higher. This is basically just a alternate art version of the rare that we see in the in this set as well, like I say, which is relatively good. It's a nice searcher card, so again, just like a more aesthetically pleasing upgrade of that version of the card, so always going to do quite well there. Ben Beckman was actually the only duplicate that we got in the entire case, which is crazy to say out loud. And this is a very useful card. It's obviously it has the exact same effect as the SR. So if the SR is the most expensive out of all the SRs, you can imagine this one is too. So obviously not too bad in the pricing there, and going to be a consistent sale. I think it's gone down a little bit since we opened them, but otherwise it's still pretty consistent. Shanks, beautiful card, $22 to $26 in that range. Something that could probably get all the way up to $30. I just think this card looks amazing. You can obviously see him using his hockey there, and just amazing detail. Probably one of my more favourite artworks that we saw throughout this entire series. And then Monkey D. Luffy, we have seen this one before, but anywhere from $30 to $35. I think at the time when we pulled the one behind there, as you can see, it was about $50. So it's definitely gone down in price, but it's still quite consistent. It's a very useful card. Zoro next. This was the first treasure rare that we've ever pulled on the channel, so we give it its own sort of category here, but $31 to $40 max, which I think, just based on the rarity, is still quite criminal. I think these should be more the $50 to $60 range cards, because they're, I mean, in the OP-10 case, we didn't hit any of the treasure rares. I think there's only one, to be fair. But because there's only one per set, you'd figured that it would maybe be a bit more expensive. But unfortunately, they're always in that $30 to $40 range. This one obviously won't be getting sold, because I'm a Zoro collector. That's going straight into the collection. So looking forward to adding that. Nico Robin next. We're going into the alternate art leaders. So anywhere from $30 to $34. An extremely useful leader. Actually, I've talked about it quite a lot, but this is the deck I was running last in the simulator, and also if I were going to run one in person, I'd probably enjoy running that, so and maybe keeping that one for playability. The Shanks, $45 to $56. Beautiful card, but also extremely useful and really popular, probably one of the more expensive alternate art leaders in the set. Lim, anywhere from $26 to $29. These are always going to be about $30 cards, these alternate arts. Same with Boogie at the end here, it's about the same price as Lim, anywhere from $26 to $30. Really enjoyed the Boogie, to be honest. Not as big of a fan of Lim, just because I don't really know the character as well, because I never played the game. But we did get 4 alternate art leaders, and they were all unique. In the last case opening in OP-10, we got 2 duplicates, so that is just alone really happy that we got that. The only ones we didn't get, of course, were the Blackbeard alternate art leader and the Luffy, which technically are the more expensive ones. They're in the same sort of price range as Shanks, just a bit below. And then last but not least, we of course have our 2 SPs, Boa Hancock, anywhere from $200 to $245 raw. We were looking at trying to get this card graded. I did some, I was looking through it, obviously looking at the impeccable detail and the right in the middle of the card, but I said I need to calm myself down and look on the back too, because that's what PSA is going to check. And there's unfortunately like sort of 2, you can see the 2 little whitening dots on the right-hand corner there. It's so minuscule that it could probably still pass as a 10, but these are the type of things you don't take a chance on. A 10 has gone anywhere from, I think, $500 to $600 max, so yeah, you'd be doubling your money if you were to get it graded. But just because there's that there, the centering isn't too bad. The rest of the card doesn't look too bad, but just those 2 little dots on the back, I think if the PSA were having a bad day, they'd call it an 8, 9 at most. So probably not worth getting graded. So I think we're going to probably keep it, but if anything, we'd be selling it raw. We haven't quite decided yet. I think we might have a buyer interested, but anyway, that's for another day. Wanted poster. Really happy with this. We got the buggy anywhere from 56 to 75 max. It's more in that $60 range, I would say. But this was our first wanted poster we ever pulled, and honestly, probably one of my favorite hits of the whole case, just because wanted posters are so unique, and not every set even has them. So I was super happy that we managed to pull that. And Ty, actually, ironically, was the one who pulled it in part 2. And he called it. He said, watch us get a wanted poster and watch it be buggy. So he is the case whisperer, and managed to get the buggy. Anyway, from a minimum perspective, if we add all those prices, about $715. Maximum up to $995, maybe $1,000 if you sold all the rares and everything else. So obviously, I don't know why I have to reiterate this, but you didn't make your money back, right? This isn't profitable. Don't buy a case thinking, oh, I can make double my money. That's not how it works. Welcome to reality, okay? Even with the Boa Hancock, which is very much a high roll on the SPs, and obviously Boogie was a bit on the lower end, we still can't make, money back. But that's okay, because obviously the whole point of this is to have fun, and thoroughly enjoyed the set. I think OP-09 is definitely one of the better sets out there. And I think, in general, this case compared to OP-10 was just so much better. We only got one duplicate out of 12 boxes, which I just think is just crazy to say. So I think, overall, I thoroughly enjoyed the set. I really enjoy a lot of the artworks. We got the Zoro, treasure rare. I think, overall, it was a slam dunk. I think, in comparison to OP-10, thoroughly much more enjoyed it. But I'm really happy to have had the experience to be able to open this case, and I hope that we can do it again soon. Not anytime soon in like the next week or so. There's no surprise that I know of, but hopefully, at least try and do something like this once a year. But otherwise, that's going to do it for today's overview. I hope you enjoyed. Like I say, if you haven't already, go back and watch the actual openings. Of course, you get raw reactions and stuff like that. And obviously, we showed every card here. But if you haven't already, go back and watch the OP-10 case opening as well. A bit more newer of a set. And still obviously got some really cool pulls there. But like I say, that's going to do it for this video, everyone. I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.